The mother leaves her missing boy behind.
My son got bit in the face by a dog, and he had to have 7 stitches in his face. And he still isn't scared of dogs. I mean, he's not scared of anything, except for, I guess, his stepfather.
Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee on February 26th in the early morning hours around 6 o'clock in the morning. So how does it make me feel when I read this post from Katie Proudfoot about the SA allegations and the rest of her statement? One is that it seems to me she's lashing out at Seth for coming forward and telling the truth. So here is Katie Proudfoot's response to Seth Rogers' allegations related to Sebastian's essay. Sebastian is the 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared on February 26 in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and has never been heard or seen since. His mom and stepfather have come under heavy scrutiny because the last known place was their home, and the information and story around his disappearance and what led up to his disappearance are skewed and have been modified several times. And it causes great concern for my audience as well as me and a lot of other people. Her response is, that child was not 13 and we did not allow my son to be abused. We contacted all authorities. My son received all the available help he could get, multiple therapists involved. His doctor did know because he went to the doctor and got checked immediately. Seth was involved in his therapy as well. There is so many lies in this story, including him failing to mention that where Seth got banned from the base for his violent tendencies, where at the time my son was seeing a psychiatrist and psychologist to help him with his trauma from Seth's abuse and the trauma from being assaulted by this child. Let me be clear, I think this is sickening that this man is airing my son's trauma online. My son deserves better than that. When we find him, and I believe in my heart we will, the truth will come out. He is doing his best to slander us as parents, but my son is loved and cared for and always will be. Public opinion based on lies, assumptions, half-truths is rampant because of things like this, which has nothing to do with finding Sebastian. I will not stoop as low as to partake in a back and forth argument with him. God knows the truth, and the truth always comes out. Please stop the madness and focus on finding Sebastian, because that's the most important thing. Finding Sebastian. And while I do agree with Katie Proudfoot, I don't agree with a lot of her stuff, a lot of her actions. I don't really agree with her as a person or a mother. But I do agree with this one statement. Sebastian is the most important thing. And we need to be focusing on Sebastian. And we need help find Sebastian. And it seems like his father's helping, trying to find Sebastian. People like me are helping try to find Sebastian. We've got volunteers that are going out by the graciousness of their heart to help find Sebastian. Sebastian's first and foremost to all of us. But what we see from Chris and Katie Proudfoot is that they like to pack up and run off and not lift a finger to help find Sebastian. So when I read this, it makes my blood boil as well, but not toward Seth, toward Katie Proudfoot. It seems to me that now all of a sudden, Seth is no longer a good parent and abusive. Now, we already knew because, again, Christopher Proudfoot let the world know that he is the one that hit Sebastian and that he had the Child Protective Services called on him. So far to date, I haven't heard where Child Protective Services were called on Seth or anything coming out of it. Now, I don't know whether that happened or not, but Katie's trying to imply that he is a violent man. I would say that I would be concerned with him, like say if my child disappeared and I may be responsible. Just a thought. And then it was so disheartening to hear her tell how she thought it was sickening for this man to air her son's laundry to the public, yet she's not even out looking for her son that she says she cares so much about. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know how this makes me feel. Well, I do. It makes me feel angry. It upsets me. It upsets me that she is so delusional she can't even see what the rest of us are seeing. I don't know how to get her and her husband off their butts and out there searching for him. But they are so worried about their image. They are so worried about what people think of them. They are so worried about people being mean to them or looking down upon them that they run away. They are so worried about how the world previews or views them. So much so, they don't even care what is going to happen to their son, what has happened to their son, or where their son is. They would rather have their family follow Seth around to see what he and his volunteers are doing, as opposed to standing next to him and just helping. They're the ones doing all of this, and I just don't know why. I can't put it past me, but we have to look at the facts. Everybody always wants to look at the facts. The bottom line is he didn't have friends. He wasn't on the internet. Those threats are eliminated. So the only people that would have had access to him, means, motive, and opportunity, would be his family. The only people that could coax him out of the house would be somebody familiar to him, such as family. He didn't leave with any shoes or socks on his feet, even though he doesn't go outside barefoot. Chris Proudfoot had a lot of scratches up and down both of his arms shortly after Sebastian disappeared. And while, none of us are there, we can't say, hey, Chris did this or Katie did that. What we can do is look at their behaviors and apply a reasonable standard to it and say, is this how reasonable people would act? And the answer is no. And we can't keep looking past that. And when I read this from Katie Proudfoot, it pisses me off. She has no thought process into a statement like this or how it makes the rest of the world feel when we're the ones out here looking for her son. We're the ones out here tearing up these internet streets from daylight to dark, trying to find any information, any leads to his whereabouts, while they sit on their ass and complain about their frickin' image. It pisses me off. His mother, Katie Proudfoot, told law enforcement agencies that when she put him to bed at 9 p.m., there was no issues. When she woke up at 6 a.m., he was gone. She called her husband. They looked around the house. She could not find him. Her husband and her immediately three-wayed law enforcement. He came home. They notified the biological father, Seth Rogers, and the rest is history. Since this case has begun, we've watched absolute madness in this case, and people always like to blame social media, but in this case it wasn't. It was a horrible nonprofit organization that stopped searches for days. They were known as the United Cajun Navy. They stole another nonprofit's history for profit and did absolutely nothing but be absolutely disrespectful to everybody in the community. The community itself kicked them out. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channel. If you'd like to help even further, consider becoming a monthly member. God bless.